Mexico's Fight for Independence. Written by Patelli Miller Shannon. Focus question: why is Mexican Independence Day an important date in Mexico? Words to know: anthem, civilization, compromise, creoles, dethrone, fiesta, immigrants, independence, native, republic, revolution, time memorial. Table of contents: honoring freedom, 4. The first people in Mexico, 5. Spanish rule, 10. Revolution, 13. Republic, 18. Celebration, 19. Independence, time, 22. Philosophy, 23. Index, 24. Honoring freedom. If you're ever in Mexico on September 9th, 16, you find yourself in the middle of a big celebration. See parades, fireworks, food, confetti, toys, horseback riders, rodeos, and many happy people. September 16th is a Mexican Independence Day. Mexicans are honoring their country's freedom. What is independence? Independence means self-rule. When Mexico won its independence, Mexicans were able to form their own government, control their own economy, and make their own laws. Mexicans felt their country's independence was worth the hard work and sacrifice. First people in Mexico. Long before Mexico became a country, the land was inhabited by millions of people. These native people have lived on the land since time immemorial, before people from other lands started to arrive. There were 3 major civilizations, each with its own unique culture, but they shared some similarities in ways of life. For many years they hunted animals, gathered wild plants for food. Eventually they began to farm. The most important crop was maize or corn. First great civilization was Olmec. They lived on the coastal lowlands along the Gulf of Mexico. Climate in that area followed the Olmecs grow and harvest maize twice a year. Abundant food production allowed the civilization to grow strong. The Olmec civilization ended around 200 BC. The decline may have been due to environmental changes that decreased their water supply. The next major civilization we start around 300 CE was the Maya. By around 900 CE, the Maya was thriving. They excelled in architecture and art, also made astronomy tables quite accurate, and developed a mathematical system that included zero. Zero was an advanced concept for that time. Unlike the Olmecs, the Maya left written records of their life, so historians know much more about them. Like the Olmecs, the Maya were another advanced civilization that declined suddenly. The exact reason for the decline are uncertain. Possibilities include environmental change, war, overpopulation, shifting trade routes, or a combination of these or other factors. The third great civilization was the Aztec. By 14,020-30, Aztec ruled the land that would become known as the Valley of Mexico. It spread over the entire country. They were immersive region called Tenochtitlan. Tenochtitlan was one of the islands in Lake Texcoco. The city had 200,000 residents, with 400,000 more living nearby. At 15,000, around 1.2 million people living in this area, which Mexico City now occupies. In 1517, a Spanish ship led by Francisco Ordenes Corboda sailed from Spain to Mexico. Mexico native people have never seen white-skinned people. Sailboats, cannon, gunpowder, or horses. The elite Spaniards, known as God, were led by Quetzalcoatl, a god of tribe that the Aztec had conquered. The Aztec Moctezuma gave the Spaniard gifts of jewelry that makes precious stones silver and gold. Gifts were made by Spaniards greedy for more riches. Before returning to Spain, they attacked native tribes, stealing more riches and kidnapping people back to Spain. More Spaniards arrived at sea in April 1519. This time were led by Hernández Cortés. Cortés hoped to take the land for himself, even though he was greatly outnumbered by native forces. Spanish rule. Cortés became allies with Tlaxcalan Emperor, who had long been among with Muslim enemies. When Cortes' men and his allies marched to protect their children, amazed by the city's beauty, every building white. Montezuma gave dinner parties for Spaniards, inviting them to Spain. In response, Cortes imprisoned the Aztec ruler, because indigenous people far outnumbered Spaniards. The alliance between Tenochtitlan and Emperor and Cortes were necessary for Cortes' success. Later, Montezuma was killed, though it was not clearly killed by Spaniards or his own people. Angered by his actions, soon more Spanish arrived to fight. Smallpox, nearly brought by Mexico by the Spanish, killed many indigenous people, including Aztecs. By the time the Spaniards took control of Tenochtitlan, two-thirds, or about 113,000 people were dead. By 1550, the Spanish ruled Mexico. Diseases such as smallpox brought from Europe weakened indigenous populations. About 20 million native people in Mexico and Spain colonized the country. 100 years later, only 1.2 million native people left in Mexico. These disease and pre-existing rivalries between indigenous tribes contributed greatly in Spain's success. Spain ruled for 3 centuries, calling the area New Spain. Conqueror's main goal was wealth. They stole Mexican treasures, also set a system where Spanish immigrants owned the land, enslaved many native people. This created 2 classes of people in Mexico, the very rich and very poor. Over the years, some Spanish immigrants and indigenous people had children. These children had mixed Spanish indigenous heritage. As time went by, these mixed-race people became the majority. Considered some of true Mexicans, not Spanish or native. By the beginning of 1800s, the Mexican people yearned for their country to become independent, despite the way other countries fought with winning freedom. Mexicans don't want to let Spain rule their country. They wanted a free country led by Mexicans. For that, they need a revolution to fight or replace Spanish monarchy with their own form of government. Revolution. The Criollos were another group of Mexican thinking about the revolution. They were born in Mexico to parents from Spain who were settled in Mexico. Compared to people living in Mexico who were born in Spain, the Criollos were regarded as second class. They have the same privilege as those born in Spain. They were not happy with their lack of political power because they planned a revolution. Spaniards learned their plans and the Criollos began a revolution ahead of schedule. Very early on September 16, 1810, a priest named Miguel Hidalgo y Costilla rang the bell of his church town Dolores. He yelled, "Viva Mexico!" and "Viva la Independencia!" His cry known of independence. Hidalgo was calling on Mexico, urging them to fight on Spanish rule and claim Mexico for their own. At the end of October 20,000 people joined Hidalgo's army. Hidalgo's soldiers conquered 2 large cities and few others, but they were defeated at the biggest city, Mexico City. In 1811, Hidalgo was captured and killed by the Spanish, but the fight for independence continued. Next leader of the rebellion was another priest named Jose Maria Morales y Pavon. He issued the first formal call for independence as Congress. In 1813, he wrote a constitution for Mexican Republic. However, in 1850, Morales was also captured and killed by Spanish. For the next 5 years, there was no real leader for Mexican independence. By 1816, Spanish soldiers killed most of the rebels. Spain soon forced Mexicans to pay taxes, and the king's harsh action caused many Mexicans who had to take part in the revolution now turned against Spain. In 1820, there was a revolution in Spain. The Cross League would be perfect to get her independence. 1821, Spanish colonel named Augustin de Iturbide was sent to 2,500 Spanish soldiers to stop Mexican rebellion in central Mexico. A group of powerful guerrillas approached Iturbide and convinced him to betray his Spanish commander. Agreed to fight alongside them with the army of guerrillas to fight for independence. Strange, Iturbide had the power to indicate the terms of Mexico independence. In September of 1821, Iturbide led troops to conquer Mexico City. Central Spanish government. He declared himself as the lead a new independent government in Mexico. Spanish officials escaped and returned to Spain. Mexico is now independent. The Mexicans fought for freedom in 11 years and have lost many of 600,000. Alas, their long years of sacrifice paid off. They're free, but the crowds won't agree how Mexico government should work. Some people wanted a monarchy ruled by a king. Others desired a republic like the United States, governed by Mexico citizens. Iturbide decided for everyone in 1822 established a monarchy by declaring himself Emperor Augustine I. He was not a good ruler. People turned against him. In 1823, he was dethroned. Republic. After Iturbide was dethroned, Congress was established. This Congress ruled in a constitutional democratic country, still in the United States. There is still a major disagreement. Our group wanted a strong central government, wanted Roman Catholicism instead of national religion. Our group wanted states to be more powerful. They wanted free to worship as they wished. At last, in 1824, the groups reached a compromise. Mexico became a republic. They formed a national government led by two houses, Congress. Governor and legislature led each state. First president was Guadalupe Victoria. Do you know Mexico's national flag was created in 1821? We represent independence. White for religious purity, and red stands for Spanish who joined. Mexican and fight for independence, plus the blood of Mexican heroes. Cinco de Mayo. Cinco de Mayo, May 5th, is not Mexican Independence Day. It celebrates victory of a small group of Mexican over French army battle at Puebla. Celebration. Mexican people will never forget the event that led their country independence. Mexican Independence Day is a huge fiesta or celebration every year throughout Mexico. Each year, the celebration begins on the night of September 15. People all over Mexico gather in a town. Mexico City, about 500,000 people crowd in the city square. Independence time. By 15,000 BC, first native inhabitants known as we living in Mexico at this time. 12,200 BCE, along civilization prospered. 300 to 900, the Maya civilization prospered. 13,000 to 15,020, Aztec civilization prospered. 13,020, Aztec city technically is found on the island of Lake Titicaca. 15,020, Hernan Cortes, allied enemies in Montana, took over Cartagena for Spain. 15,020 to 18,001, Mexico is a colony of Spain. 18,010, Father Miguel Hidalgo y Costilla led the revolution against Spain. 18,021, Augustine de Iturbide leads the war of independence. Mexico wins independence. 18,022, Iturbide is Mexico's first emperor. 1824, Mexico becomes republic. Guadalupe Victoria of Mexico first president.